What is up, Tube users? I'm the Stereotypical Gamer, and welcome back to another fantastically fun games for under $15. Today, we are taking a look at a really fun shooter that kind of gives me a nostalgic feel from the kind of gameplay and overall design of everything, but it's just a really well-designed game, and that is Postal Brain Damage. I think what initially turned me on to this game was the kind of aesthetic of things and the overall silliness of the story. It kind of feels like a lot like a Duke Nukem kind of action parody style comedy, but in a drug trippy environment, I would say. And a lot of the jokes in it are timely to COVID-19, so it's not super fresh, but it's still well known in our minds, and I love a lot of the jokes and stuff that this game throws at you. But I think the main thing that makes this game so much fun is the gameplay and how unique and fast-paced everything feels. I love the plethora of different enemies, and it kind of just goes through a progression of enemies. You start out with a few, those enemies kind of stick through and you'll fight them throughout the game, and then you add on more enemies. Each level kind of adds new enemies to this entire mix until you're here, which is closer to the end of the game. I'm pretty sure, I'm not entirely sure which level this is exactly, but you get just this whole host of different enemies that you've now encountered throughout this journey, and it's just kind of really cool to see the blend of everything together. I think the biggest thing that makes this game a whole lot of fun is the actual gunplay. Each weapon is really unique. Each weapon has a special move, I guess you would say, and there is reloading, but it's automatic for any weapon that reloads, and majority of weapons, I think actually only the shotgun technically reloads, if I'm not mistaken. So just being able to fire a bunch of bullets really quickly at a bunch of enemies is always going to be super satisfying. But I think the special abilities of each weapon is what makes this game stand out to other shooters out there. Obviously, the best example of this and the most fun is the grapple hook double barrel shotgun. The grapple hook combined with the shotgun, just pulling yourself into enemies and blasting them in the face. There's very little gunplay that I think is more satisfying than that. I think it's one of the most satisfying FPS mechanics that I've felt in a game ever. And the other weapon special abilities too are really fun. The grenade launcher has a holy hand grenade that's really fun. The machine gun has a time bomb that's really interesting and unique. And just each weapon has that is useful in certain situations. Obviously the shotgun is the most fun by a long shot, and it's the gun that I use majority of the time, but there comes a time where each weapon is useful, and I really like how they did that. And I like the simplicity and complexities of this game. It's pretty simple just to get through the levels, just it's a linear kind of level where you'll come across a locked door, you'll need to find the key is off to another pathway that's close by, and it loops back around to the door. The levels are really well designed that way, and it just kind of makes it easy to go through just destroying everything in a linear path. But I love the complexities that it brings in terms of the movement and seeing how fast you can go through, and at the end of each level it shows your progress in a level, and each level has secrets. So there's secret posters to find, and then there's just secret rooms, and I found maybe one or two, and each level has at least 3 or something like that, so they're pretty tough to find most of the time. And I usually like to look out for that because I love the level designs of these. There's just a lot of little things that you can find, the little Easter eggs. That's really cool. But yeah, there's a lot of complexity to it, and it makes it really fun to see just how fast you can get through levels, or just if you can find everything really quickly. And it definitely has a lot of fart and dick humor in it, which It kind of gets a lot, but in little doses, I think it is pretty well designed. It definitely kind of feels like a Beavis and Butthead episode, which is kind of fun just throughout the entire game. And just the gameplay itself, though, is really enjoyable, and just how everything functions in the game and how it blends together to this, like, a massively trippy story is really cool to see. But it's not a perfect game by any means, so let's go over some of the bad aspects of this game. And one of the things I dislike about this game is the way that it tries to incorporate puzzles. Each level feels entirely linear, like you don't ever backtrack, and the level design is fantastic. I love how it loops around to itself to progress in ways. It's really well designed that way. You never have to backtrack if you're doing things properly. But I don't think the puzzles that they put in are all that fun. They get really repetitive. It's just like, oh, go find the key. It's on this other linear pathway. There are some puzzles that kind of require a little bit of thinking, but for the most part, there's really not a whole lot to it. Like this puzzle, I guess right here, it's like you get to this place where you have nowhere to go, and you see this pool that says no peeing everywhere, and one of the mechanics, which is a great mechanic in the game, is pissing. And so pissing in the pool floods it, and it allows you to get up higher because you can swim in the water. So some of them are kind of interesting like that, but for the most part it is just go get the key, it's on this other pathway, and that gets really repetitive pretty quickly. The other thing I dislike is that there's different acts, I guess, to how the levels progress. You have like 10 levels in an act, and then once you finish those, you go on to the next act. And once you move on to that act, it's a like whole new story, and you start with no weapons. All of your like special things are gone. You just kind of start fresh again, and that's fine and all for telling the story, but it doesn't really tell you when. So like I save up a lot of this special stuff because like in case I needed it, which I really never did, and just kind of saving all my big things for like maybe an important boss fight. And then I get to the boss fight, I use a good amount of it, but then after that I lose everything, and I didn't realize that, and it's just kind of frustrating to lose all this stuff that I like searched around for, and then it just is gone, and I have to kind of do the same thing over if I want to get all those things again. And the only other thing that I would say is a bad aspect of this game is the I believe it's the third weapon, but you get it very early on, is the shotgun, and the grapple hook shotgun, and it's the best gun in the game. Like there's no gun that even comes close to how fun and how just strong this weapon is. And there's a lot of things that just kind of require you to use it. There's like an entire boss fight that requires you to use the grapple hook in order to survive. So it's a really important gun, and I feel like they kind of stress that importance a little bit too much, where the game kind of just relies on this weapon and doesn't allow you to highlight the other weapons that are also really fun. Like a lot of the weapons are really fun to use, but the grapple hook shotgun is just so much more better than all these other weapons that there's no point in using them, and that's just really frustrating. But other than that, this game is still really fun. I think you definitely have to enjoy the humor that this game has in order to enjoy it. I think the gunplay is really fun and all, but if you're going to fully enjoy it, you have to enjoy the dick and fart humor that this game brings. But yeah, I would say if you do enjoy that humor and you like first-person shooters, this is definitely a must-have game, especially right now with it being only $8. It has such a plethora of content that $8 is an absolute steal. And I think the fun thing about this game is the gameplay itself holds it to making the levels replayable, even though they are very linear and kind of boring. Just not in terms of like the FPS mechanics, but in terms of what you have to do to progress a level. But the movement mechanics combined with that, with like the shotgun and stuff like that, and the movement you can do with that, makes trying to speed run through levels really fun, and just kind of makes the repetition of it all worth it. And I really like how the gunplay is easy to pick up, but the movement is like easy to learn but hard to master. Just like with the slide mechanic, that there's like no sprinting in this game. Instead, it's like a slide that will make you go a little bit faster and can like propel you if you jump with it and stuff like that. And just combining all that momentum with the momentum the grapple hook shotgun brings you, you can get some crazy speeds. And I'm sure I haven't seen any speed runs of this game, but you can definitely get to the end of levels really quickly with the movement tech in this game. And I love the whole nostalgic feel of it, feeling like a Duke Nukem, but also having that Doom kind of heavy metal, just slaying a bunch of monsters feel, combined with like a silliness of Beavis and Butthead in the early 90s, but all bringing it into like a modern era with modern jokes and modern gameplay mechanics. It just all just blends together in this super smooth game that is just immaculately fun. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like if you did. Go check out Postal Brain Damage on Steam for only $8 now. Comment any other fantastically fun games for under $15 you guys have, and I will definitely check them out. And make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.